Hi, welcome to Gabbing with Girlfriends, and I have a repeat visitor today. I'm speaking to David Fishof, who was my guest, I guess, 2 episodes ago, and I'm excited to have him back. Hi, David.
Hi, Gloria. This is so great. Gabbing with girlfriends. And but the coolest thing is I'm getting such response. So thank you
Oh,
for having me.
oh, good, 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 good. Okay, so tell me, your grandson's getting married.
Grandson's getting married on May 11th, and we just spent the weekend beforehand and with him, and all his friends came out to roast him to Los Angeles, and it's just amazing. He wanted to be a rabbi, and I said, you know what? You can be a rabbi, but you got to go to law school. So, so he's listening to me, and he's smart. So,
Oh,
being a rabbi is not a good job for a good Jewish boy.
uh, who's it a good job for?
It's a hard job. I'm a son of a cantor, and, I grew up in the clergy my whole life. My son-in-law is a really amazing rabbi. The problem is, you now have a boss of an entire community, and if someone doesn't like you and, they really make it's a very hard job, to be a rabbi and, in a community. I mean, it really is. It's a very hard thing. You give your whole life and you dedicate, but you can get one person who doesn't like you, and makes your life miserable because they're being because their life is miserable at home. So they come to the synagogue, and that's a little insight.
No, way too much responsibility. Way,
Yeah.
way, way too much. Yeah, it's one thing kind of going to a church every Sunday and having you know, um, your parishioners listen and follow and whatever for that, however many hours it is. But it's another thing when it's the community all the
It's
time,
yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. Okay, tell me about the last two rock camps that have
Oh
happened.
god.
One in Miami. Let's hear.
Gloria, they're almost like religious experiences for me. Roger Daltrey, he flew in, and he's so amazing, came in a few days before, and then as you know, he's had health issues. Body-wise, his voice was amazing, and he loves people, and the people just they get so emotional, and they just loved it, and he just delivered. He had such a great time. He's very personal with people, and he lets the singers sing with him, and his stories are great. He loves the Q&A, and Simon Townsend came with him, and Simon also he was just great, and the people you see them, they come off the stage and they're like crying because
Oh,
it's a feeling, it's so emotional that these people get that, and Roger was having an amazing time, and he loved it, and then and he kept he sang every song with them, and he enjoyed it. And then he told me afterwards, he said, David, he said, it just gets better and better. So it's wonderful. It's
so how
wonderful.
many professionals did you have besides those 2?
Oh, I had, well, the first day I had Liberty DeVitto, and he got to do a Billy Joel song with everyone. And Liberty's a sweet guy. And, he's so popular now because of the documentary on Billy Joel. And, it was all controversial, and he's so good. Here's
Yeah.
the great story about Liberty. So my secretary years ago said to me, David, I'm going to marry a rock star. And I said, okay, you sure? She said, yeah, I want to marry a rock star. Her name was Anna. She was the best assistant I ever had. And she had a crush on Zach Starkey. So, but Zach was married, so she knew to stay away. And she came to Rock Camp, and Liberty's 30 years older than her. And she's a young girl. And Liberty picked her up, and they got married. I mean, it's maybe 20 years older. And they had a baby. They have a daughter together. And Liberty, they're so happy.
Oh,
And I know, so it's a beautiful story. She married Liberty DeVitto, was my assistant. So they
love it.
her Irish mother got a little upset. You're marrying a rock star, and you look the age difference. But she said, "Mom," and they all got along, and he's great. So Liberty's really happy. So he met his love at rock camp.
Well, it's
You know who also met his
great.
love at rock camp? Elliot Easton. This is a great story, Gloria. So Elliot Easton from the Cars comes to camp, and after camp, a one of the campers goes over to him and said, "Elliot, this was an amazing experience. Anything, anything I can do for you, here's my business card. please call me. I'm a private investigator." So he says, "Okay." Takes the card. A week later, Elliot's going through a terrible divorce. He's got a beautiful daughter going through a terrible divorce, and he calls the private eye. And he says to him, "I'm thinking about this girlfriend of mine in high school. And would you track her down? Now, if she's married, I don't want to know, but if maybe she's single, check her out." So the private eye calls him back. He called the girl's home, and he found the parents. And he said, "Elliot would love to know if your daughter is still single," and everything like that. And the parents said, "We love Elliot. Oh, we remembered when they went in high school, they were dating, they were so in love. Our daughter's single. She's never gotten married, and she lives in
Oh,
Los Angeles. She lives 1 block from Elliot Easton, and for the last 10 years, and he didn't even know it. They got
no way.
together. They're so happily married. They're probably married now 10 years. Is that
Oh my
crazy?
god.
Oh my God.
What are the odds? I thought you were gonna first I thought you were gonna say that he had the PI do some exploring on
Yeah.
his ex-wife and, to help in the divorce, but this is a much better story.
It's a great story, and he told it it's on YouTube. He told the story, and it's such a beautiful story, and they found happiness. What's been remarkable for me, when I first started the camp, the last thing I ever wanted to do was to meet the campers. Because, the fans, Gloria, it's, you're the fans, man. And then years later, as it went by, I had somebody who was between me and the fans. I really just worked on the rockers and the councils. And then I started to get to know these people. And every day I kept meeting another amazing person. Their stories are just incredible. Everyone has a story. That's,
Everybody.
they have,
Everybody has one. I love
yeah.
it.
And
So
it's
how
around music. It was great.
so how many campers did you have in Miami?
In Miami, I had 70 campers. Now, Roger had canceled. This was interesting. Roger got sick, and never went public. And he asked if he could move it a few weeks before, and we moved it, and we kept it out of the press. And then he came down. That's why I usually don't do two back to back, because it's really a lot of work. But Roger came, and then we had Simon, and and then Roger, and I had one more. I forgot. Oh yes, Steve Morse from Deep Purple. What a
Fun.
sweet man. He's a sweet guy.
Was that
He's a
his first
very
time?
No, that was his 3rd time. Yeah, he's
Oh,
done it
wow.
times. And then he reminded me of a story. John Lord, the late John Lord, when I was doing the camp in London, I did the camp in London, and I got an email from John Lord saying, "Do you mind if I come by your camp? I love what you do." And he came for free. He spent the whole day there. It was unbelievable. The heart of some of these people, I think when they realize that it's musicians, it makes it a lot different things. It reminds them what it was like. Now, coming up was Tommy Lee on
Yeah, let's hear
Friday.
that one.
That was a religious experience. That's a lady just wrote to me. Tommy Lee came with John 5. So they're best friends. And they had such a great experience. And all of a sudden I get the manager said, "When can we do it again?" Tommy wants to do it again. One time. Now, Tommy has so much energy. He plays with so much energy. And he's got a fabulous wife. I don't know if you ever met her. This is an amazing wife. Her name is Britt Lee. She's a comedian, and so
Well,
great. And she was so sweet. They're married 10 years. She keeps them straight. She said, she told me, she said, "David, I told him if he ever goes off the wagon, I'm leaving." And she said, "I once had to take an apartment." And you know what? He stopped. They're really in love. It's really a
oh,
beautiful thing.
well, that's awesome. So who else was there besides those
So
2?
we had Tommy and John 5, and then today, right after we speak, they're gonna be jamming at the Whiskey with Red Beach, and he's gonna jam a song with them, and then we gave them yesterday just to, prepare for their songs. Many of them complained to me, "David, you don't give us too many stars, because then we have to learn the music." So, when I do 4 stars, but I love to give these people more. But they need time to learn the music.
So how many campers were at that one?
This one, we had 60 campers and different ages. We had 3 kids groups, and it was great to see the kids. I liked seeing the youngsters, so it really depends. You never know what's coming and who's coming. And then yesterday, this guy Carlos Cavallo from I think that's his name from Quiet Riot. He came in, and then we have a camper who graduated rock camp. When I say graduated, came to camp. She was very shy, and her brother was this little teenage guitar player. And Rudy Sarzo turned to her and said, "You know, while you're here, why don't you come into my band room here and, start playing the drums?" And she was a teenager. She goes on, Rudy mentored her. Just to really, it was so nice to him and the parents. She went to Berkeley School of Music, and now she's a drummer in Eagles of Death Metal.
No way.
And yeah, she's Leah Bluestein. She came to camp. She was shy. She just hung out. So now I heard now she showed up to camp last night, and all the kids went nuts over her. She just wanted to come say hello because she graduated camp. I've had some amazing stories like that. I went to see this Robert how do you pronounce it?
Trio.
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 I went to see Robert Trio, and his son. He said to
Oh,
me,
he's
"Come down,
awesome.
David." Yeah, he said, "Come down and see my son's band." So I came to see his son's band downtown Los Angeles, and I walk in, and the drummer comes over. He said, "Mr. Fishof," he says, "I came to your camp, and that's why I'm here." So when you get these stories, Gloria, it's so emotional. And even yesterday, people write songs, like, and then they send you the songs and it's on Spotify. It really becomes an emotional experience. For me, it is. And I'm still passionate about it because if you could change these people's lives, through music, what greater, what's greater than that? And it really is. It's beautiful. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to head to the whiskey today and see all these people, and they're always thanking you. And I say at camp, I make 40 new friends. And it's really beautiful. It really is. It's just so amazing how music has such an effect on people. It reminds them. It's
Everybody.
unbelievable. Everybody. They know when they're a teenager. When they're a teenager, there's a song that turned their lives around. So yeah, I love it. Yeah. So today, and then they're gonna play the Viper Room afterwards.
So how did you know when, like, what was the instance when you recognized the potential of all of this, that you recognized, like, I know you tried it and then there was a hiatus for a bit. Like, how did you know that it really works?
I wanted to shut it down many years. I have to tell you, I was running two camps. One that the fans and the musicians were having the greatest time, and the musicians had the greatest time. And then there was time I was always losing money. I had a lot of financial bad years with it because it was very hard for me. It's unlike when I did the Monkees. I started off in a small venue, and then by the end of the tour, I played arenas. With Ringo, it's starting us, theaters, and if it got bigger into radio, to Radio City. This is a very hard business. You can only take one bass player in a band, and I can only take in 10, 11 bands, the most. So it's limited. It's so limited in this business. So it's not like you can take the fence at a festival and make it longer. You have such a limit here. And so it's like someone made fun of me. He said, "David, it's like opening a tall man's shop in Tokyo." It's a hard business. And then you got to group these bands together. It takes a lot to do this. And people, and so many people have tried over the years, and they think that it's easy. So I gotta say, probably after my 10th anniversary, well, here's what happened. 10th anniversary was great, but what really helped me around, the biggest experience to me, what really turned my business around was about 6 years ago. I got an email from a gentleman, and his name is Scott Keller. And Scott Keller and on the bottom it said McKinsey and Company. So he said, "I want to take you to dinner." I had the most amazing experience. I got to play with Judith Priest with my son at the Whiskey A Go Go. And I have to thank you. This is the greatest thing in my life. He grew up that way. And I look at the sign, it says McKinsey and Company. McKinsey and Company, as you know, is the number one consulting company in the world. And
I
so
know
I
it
wrote,
is.
it's number one. So I wrote back to Scott and I said, "Scott, thank you very much for dinner. How about I take you to dinner and I'll make a deal with you. You could come to my camp. Give me some advice. How do I make this business work?" It was so hard on me. Gloria, I went and bought a book. There's a great book called What got you here won't get you there. It's about people who get successful in business. I was such a success. I knew I did a great management company. I knew I did great sports agent, everything. I couldn't get this plane off the ground. It was the most frustrating thing to me. So he said to me, David, I'm going to put together, tell me what the issues are. I said, sometimes I make, sometimes I lose. It just doesn't work. So he says, I'm going to put together a team of my people. We're going to take you to dinner and we're going to find out the problems. And he says, we're going to give you 10 minutes and we're going to ask you questions. And then you'll tell us your problems. Then we'll ask you 10 minutes. And then we'll tell you what we feel. So I called my friend Jeff Rowe, and I said to Jeff Rowe, who produced my first film, I said, Jeff Rowe's a VH1 classic. And I said, Jeff, you got to come to this meeting. You got to write everything down. I'm like, this meeting's worth $100,000. They're taking me to dinner, and I got to really be prepared. Jeff came with me, and in walks in the president of Ticketmaster at the time. The I forgot her name, but she was a former McKinsey executive. So what I learned about McKinsey is that, let's say a company has a problem, what they do is they call McKinsey. McKinsey sends in a team of people, and they tell them they say, what's the problem and what's the issue, and we're going to solve it for you. So the smartest people in the world work at McKinsey. So Ticketmaster had an issue. They wanted to create their website so that you could buy your seat and you could look at the stage and see exactly where you were facing on the stage. And McKinsey came in, and they solved that. So and McKinsey charges $1 million. It's $1 million for each company, and that's their price tag. And I'll tell you a story afterwards of what they do with the $1 million. But so he takes me to dinner, gives me advice. And afterwards, they say, David, listen, we're going to go through your books. Give us your books. I give them my books. I give them all the issues. They went through all my books. And in the end, they wrote me a note. They said, David, here's your issue. You make $10. You're spending 12. Spend 9 and keep $1. Spend 8. Here I had these multi-million-dollar people, and that's what they told me. And they said, if an artist wants too much, say no and just stay in a budget. And if you can keep to a budget, you can have a fun business for yourself. And that's what I've done. And I followed him. Now, Scott Keller is the most incredible man. We've become best friends. And I can call him anytime I need a problem, advice. And he's the star of my movie. If you see Rock Camp, the movie, my first movie, he raised a son. In the end of the movie is a scene about this young boy who he's totally mentally not there. He's just so out of it that he never should have survived. And Scott quit 5 years of his life, him and his wife, in the early years, and they saved this child, and they gave him music, and they taught him music. And his dream in the movie, is he wants to go to Rock and Roll Fans Camp and play bass, and he comes. That's the end of the movie. And Scott comes to all the camps. He brings his son.
How old is his son? How old is he now?
The boy's 24. He went to UCLA. He has his own band. It's such a crazy story that Scott is writing a book, and he's got a book deal. He writes #1 bestsellers. Scott Keller has #1 bestsellers, but they're all for CEOs. I mean, so he gives me a book. He says, David, here's your book. I know you'll get past page 3 and then you'll fall asleep. He's right. They're bestsellers. He's an amazing guy. You can look him up. And it's so funny because he comes to camp and he's dressed in all the metal. He's a crazy metalhead. And it's amazing. You see this guy in a suit, executive, probably makes millions of dollars a year. But what's his love? His love is music. So he comes and he brings his son, and his son is amazing. His name is JJ Rawpower. He came to camp the other day to see Tommy Lee. He's going to come today to the whiskey. He's such a sweet boy. And I had a mother call me up after she saw my movie. She said, my husband, our daughter is the state owns my daughter. She's in a hospital. And my husband didn't want to work with me to raise this child. And when he saw what Scott does, you see in the film, they worked with him. They massaged his brains, or they did everything. And they brought this kid back to life. And now Scott's doing a book. He wants a tour with this young man. It's an incredible story. Oh, Gloria, you should see the movie. It's called Rock Camp. It's free on Amazon Prime. So Scott really stayed, and he really helped me a lot with the business. Even Roger Daltrey, I'd call him up and say, Roger, I can't, who loves this camp. And he would say, David, close it down. You can't keep losing money. Close down, close it down. I went up, my partner had a guy in Oracle who gave me a couple of dollars when I first started. And he just said, David, we never expanded our business, in Oracle, which is the biggest company. Once we got the customers, we expanded. Well, it's hard to do that in our business. Anyways, it's an amazing story. The film is great. And these campers are just unbelievable. They really have such great stories. And then you see them find the wives call me up and say, my husband doesn't have road rage anymore. My husband has happiness. Now, I have to share, we're being honest here, so I never share this. But Gloria, a lot of the women that come to camp, they find themselves. You're getting more and more women.
Oh, yeah, you
And
told me this. That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's
So how
amazing.
many women? So out of 50, how many are women on average?
20, 30% now.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Women
Then you're going to say
guitar players.
4.
No, 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 no. You should see all these young girls now who are playing music and they're coming. And it depends on the artist. Okay, Tommy Lee. The last time I had him, we did in the Bahamas. I had a lady whose husband was so wealthy, flies down. There were a bunch of mothers who were dropping their kids off at music school every night, every day after school. The mothers are sitting in the lobby waiting, and these mothers decide, you know what? Let's have our own band. Why don't we hire a music teacher and let's become a band? And they live in Austin, Texas, and they became the Undercover Girls. And they would hire a music teacher while the kids were in school, and they decide they're going to be a band. They become a band. And this young lady, her husband says, take the band to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp in the Bahamas, Tommy Lee, and they come. Now, these women come, they ask for Kip Winger. They want Kip as their counselor. And, the counselor stays for them for 4 days. And they're having so much fun, and they're buying all these rockers drinks, and they're all the counselors, and they're at Nobu in the Atlantis, and they're having a good time. Sunday morning, the lady who's the drummer, she asked me if she could get Tommy. Tommy gave her a private lesson. It was incredible. She paid him a lot of money. She wanted Tommy Lee. Okay. Now comes along Sunday morning. I say, Kip, do me a favor. Can you leave the room? I got to talk to these ladies. I need to just have her. I said, ladies, this is a fantasy camp. You have to go home to your husbands, and you have to your kids and everything like that. This is a dream, but you got to go home. And one lady raises her hand and she says, I'm going to ask my husband for a 1-day pass. I said, to this day, the one lady naturally who came to the camp, she's married and she's not leaving her husband with a private plane and everything like that. But the other 5 ladies are all divorced. They're playing music differently, have radio stations. They found themselves. And, it's not something I ever promote to say that, but, a lot of women have come to camp, and they find themselves who they really are. And, they find the passion to music, and they find later in life, what happens is COVID, more women have picked up guitars and drums and basses and
That's
instruments than
interesting.
ever before.
I bet. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
I never shared the story. I'm probably going to lose half my business now, but it's so true. It's just, it's crazy to find these people. And then these are my favorite stories is when the husband comes and then the wife comes as a groupie and she watches him. And then she finally, this couple in Texas, the Rudies, I love them. She said, you know what? He's having so much fun. I want to learn it. And she picked up the bass, and they're now in a band together. So, they're together, the husband and wife. They're always together, and they come together. They came to Rogers Camp, and she's there reading. And it's so funny. I said to Roger, all these people are reading, music. They write the chords out, and they're writing. And he says, I can't read music.
Yeah, my husband can't read music either.
Right? They can't. But all these people are prepared. They prepare the songs months in advance. They know they're coming to camp, so they hire music teachers to teach them the songs. They lose weight. They buy clothes. It becomes, I know, Gloria, you cannot
Honestly.
believe it.
Okay, what is the next one? I have to come be a fly on the wall for the next one.
Okay, the next one's gonna be a women's. Oh, I wish you would have been this one. The next one's gonna be a women's camp, and that's gonna be oh, no, I'm doing Dave Davies of the Kinks. He Friday, he said he wants to do camp, and, that'll be in New York. Then afterward, the women's camp, and then I wanna do the camp with your husband and a bunch of I'm gonna do a Metal Mania camp, and you have to see it. You
Yeah, I
have
know.
to.
Like, I'd love to see it. So where's the women's camp? Where's that one?
The women's camp's gonna be November 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is something that we created just for the women. We've done about 4 of them already. Nancy Wilson, we've had Winona, we've had, Melissa Etheridge, we had Lzzy Hale. She's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I only recently became a fan. Her band had supported Sabbath on a tour before, and I never even paid attention, never noticed, never whatever. But she was involved with this charity thing that my husband
Yeah,
did a few weeks ago in Palm Springs that Matt Sorum put
yeah.
together. And honestly, it was like next level amazing.
Next level amazing. I know. She's so
How is
incredible.
she not the biggest star ever? She was doing Sabbath songs that weren't her songs,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't even believe it. She was so good, and what a lovely woman.
What a
Love her.
lovely
Love.
Gloria, she tells to Brit, who runs whose idea is Brit Lightning and in Vixen. She was an amazing woman. She's an amazing
Yeah, yeah.
leader, and I'm very honored to have her. She says, "I want to meet David." I was trying to stay away. I came there. She gave me the biggest hug. I love what you're doing. This is incredible. She was so good. Now, there was a young girl who was suicidal who came to the camp. Do you know that they stay friends to this day? The mother said to me, "The camp saved my daughter's life," and Lizzie stays in touch with them. This is
Oh,
an
you said
incredible
chills.
one.
I love that.
To chills. This
Yeah,
Lzzy Hale deserves to be a huge star.
huge.
She will get there. She will get there. She said to me, "David, why don't you get on the tour bus and come with us?" She was so nice.
Oh,
I was blown away by her, and I didn't even know who she was. You know, it was Brit's idea to get. I know the old timers, but she was great. She was great. So the women's camp. Let me tell you why it makes it different. So we only have women counselors and women crew and the women record producer when they go in the studio. But what's so good was it's really good for the young girls and for the women. You don't have a guy trying to play his drum solo or guitar solo. They feel free. And unlike the shows at the Whiskey tonight, after they work with Red Beach, they're gonna go out into the rainbow and as a band, they're gonna celebrate. And then the crowd will get smaller and smaller. But what happens with the women, they never left. They supported each other so much. You see, and then eventually they now graduate and they can come to I've had some of these young girls who were at this last Tommy Lee camp I said to Brit, "Where are they from?" She said, "I was at your women's camp." They weren't afraid. And what was great about the women were they would teach them. Lizzie taught them, and Nancy's also amazing. What it's like to be a woman in rock and roll and to be music, and Brit just said it's a safe place for these people to come. So I'm excited. Oh, Belinda Carlisle is the headliner.
no way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. So Belinda Carlisle and yeah, we're gonna announce some new people, but she's amazing.
Yeah,
And
love, love, love.
how can you not love her? And she's so
Yeah,
great. And
yeah.
and the men, they get excited. I said no men. So what I did for the men is I created a man cave package. What I do is for the men, they don't get to jam with the women, but they get to come to a studio and they get to jam with Vinny. Vinny will take a band and they'll let them open for them at the Whiskey or something like that. But the women's package is just the women's weekend. And then, we also did a camp. We did a songwriting camp with Linda Perry.
Oh,
Linda Perry,
that's interesting.
let me tell you something. There's another incredible woman.
Yeah.
She found she said she found the talent there. She said, "I want to produce you." But 2 weeks later, the girl was on Jimmy Kimmel with her, and I mean, that's a fantasy. She said, "I came to the camp. I want to learn to write songs." she has such a great voice that Linda put her right there on stage. Jimmy Kimmel a few weeks ago. Linda was incredible too. She
Yeah, I
came
bet.
back the second day. She listened to these people's songs, and she's honest. She's really honest. That's what I love. I love when they're honest. So, and yeah, she really told them.
That's so cool. I didn't know that about there being a woman's one. Well, I definitely want to come be a fly on the wall
You
because
have
I
to.
just, yeah, sounds,
Anytime too. Because if you love people and you love to see the stories of these people and share them, it's really
I
amazing.
do. I do. I love people and I love their stories. So I would love that. How long are you staying in the States now?
Okay, so I'm now staying in the States for May 11th. I'm here in LA. I go to Seattle tomorrow because I'm going to put together a Seattle camp. But I'm going to a memorial. One of my campers passed away, and the family asked me if I could come up and speak at his memorial. And he was
That's
really a wonderful man. He was a great
lovely.
guy. He was a bass player. His name was Bert Bodell. Um, he owns American Seafood. He owns a seafood company, and but he loved bass. He came to camp, and then he got so enthralled with camp that he went to get a degree as a bass player at Berklee School of Music. He did a class there, and he got friendly with a lot of my rock stars over the years. And all he wanted to do was be, he was a bass player. He just wanted that's all he wanted to do. He did the other stuff for, as just to pay for his bases. But he got friendly with Roger and Mick Fleetwood and all these people at camp, and he had a plane, which helps a lot, Gloria. Uh, but he was a great man, very charitable man. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go to New York and marry off my grandchild, and I'm going to go back to Israel to see my daughter. So
I
and
just
work on the
keeping
movie.
busy. Yeah,
Keeps me
keeping
busy. It
busy.
keeps you young. Keeps
It
you
absolutely does. That and playing games. Um, Waking up in the morning, playing my New York Times games on my
Yep.
phone. It starts my day, and it definitely makes a difference.
Right. I go to the gym every day. So I have a daughter, a nutritionist. I'd love you to look her up. She'd be a great guest for you one day. Her name is Alana Molstein.
Wait, I'm writing
She
it down.
You have to, because she's an incredible young lady. She weighed over 100 pounds as a teenager, and raising a 100-pound teenager, a girl who's 100 over 100 pounds, was the hardest thing in the world for me. And it's one thing with a boy, they could make friends, but outfits, every outfit in the world, that was really hard for her. And I did everything I could. I got her trainers, and finally, one day kicked to me. I went to see this therapist, and the therapist said to me, "Mr. Fishof, if you want your daughter to lose weight, she follows everything you eat. You got to change your ways." And I
I
looked
get
at
it.
the table. I looked at the table that night, and everything I was eating, she was copying me. Anyways, Alana's story is amazing. She has over 2 million TikTok followers. All she wants to do is help mothers and daughters, and she has such a huge following. She worked for a company for Beachbody. She consulted them. She's done TV shows. She's just an amazing superstar.
What's
And
your last name again?
what? Her name's
What's your last
Alana
name again?
Mulstein, Muhlstein. I guess she wanted to have anonymity from me, which is great. She has her own following, but she helped save my life 10 years ago. I was her first client. She spoke at UCLA. She was working for me when she came out of Maryland. Dad, I don't want to do this. I want to be a nutrition. I said, go do what you want to do. Don't I appreciate you helping me. She went out, she got her master's, and she's incredible. She saves so many people. Women follow her all over. Wherever I travel around the country, it was so funny. She came to camp. She wanted to see Tommy Lee, and 5 ladies came over to me. She's bigger than Tommy Lee. We're here for her. Alana's fun. She said, "Dad, you're killing my business. You better lose weight." I lost 50 pounds with her. She
That's
came
cool.
Yeah, she came up with a concept, water first, veggies most. She has
I love it.
bestsellers, and she's a terrific daughter, and she has 3 delicious kids, so
Ah, oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Really cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna wind down and I'm gonna go watch the Villa match with my husband on TV because it's an important one. So I'm gonna go do that. Watch the
Okay.
second enough. And I'll leave you to go enjoy your Sunday and go.
With my campers.
Yes.
My campers. I want to tell you something. My campers, Black Sabbath is like is their, they come, they go nuts over it. Vinny's a lucky guy. He comes to all the camps, because he's a counselor and things like that. But what a following. And don't you get amazed when you see the following of these people, who they are, what they
Yeah.
are?
Yes, I do. I
It's
do.
incredible, right?
It amazes me that we'll be someplace and somebody at, kind of 22 years old will come up and say, "Oh my God, are you Geezer Butler?" And I'm like, how can he know at 22? And they just, I don't know, it's from his dad or from wherever and however. It's pretty amazing when that happens.
Yeah.
Because, you kind of get it if he's 52.
I'm leaving you with this one last quote I heard. I thought it was the best quote. I went to Bill Medley one day, and I was telling him from the Righteous Brothers, because I did Dirty Dancing. We'll talk about Dirty Dancing, Sweet Chicken. That was a big show for me. And I said, Bill, I was telling him, we were talking about the young people. He said, David, in the 60s and 70s, there were only, 10 notes, 11 notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. He says, we took all the good notes. We have all the good music. And I thought that was a great line.
That's really good. Yeah. I love that. Okay, so Dirty Dancing will be the top of our discussion on our next episode together.
Absolutely.
Okay, remember that. Dirty Dancing.
I remember it. I wrote it down. I have someone I want to talk to you about. And I was never on a show with girlfriends. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you very much for being here again. And I look forward to us doing this in person too,
Yeah, me too.
Okay, take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. And be sure to follow Gabbing with Girlfriends on here so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media for more fun and in-depth conversations. Thank you.